What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's jump right in with some basketball. We got some NFL stuff later, of course, with the playoffs this weekend. It is Game Pick Wednesday, so we'll get to that later on in the show. But let's talk some basketball first. But I actually have a very special mic request. Justin, yes, that Justin, the one who comes on my show all the time, the one who co-hosts another show with me called Jake and Justin in the Morning. So let's invite him on. Justin, what's up, dude?
Hi.
Hi.
You literally know who I
am. Yes, Justin and I live together, guys. So, and you got all of you have seen him many times. So,
yeah. In the town. In the town. He's telling here. But yeah, but I heard you're talking about NBA. So what's going on?
So, Justin, let me ask you this. So, there was a rumor that the Sacramento Kings were going to trade for Pascal Siakam. Apparently, they were the favorites, and then appeared that right away they pulled out. It came out today that the offer was, or at least what the Raptors wanted, where it was Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell, and a first-round pick. So, do you think that's too much? Do you think the Kings should have pulled the trigger?
So hear me out here.
Mm-hmm.
So based off, consistency and how
right.
we've seen it with so far two big name guys, teams that back out, that player ends up going to them anyway. So it happened with Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs backed out. Then all of a sudden they come out of nowhere wanting him.
Right.
Same thing with Damian Lillard. Bucks backed out.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden they got him. So I think Siakam will end up being a king. But to answer your question, I don't know why the fuck you're overvaluing Harrison Barnes.
That's very true. I thought the offer was fair. They got a good young player, Davion Mitchell. Barnes, I mean, he's a fine player. I'm not sure how much he's helping Toronto if they're going into
he brings the veteran status for a team that doesn't have much of it. Like, your only vet on that team is Dennis Schroeder and Jakob Poeltl, who's going to be out for a while.
Right, yeah. So, and then there was Kevin Huerter, who I do like. He's a shooter. He's not terribly old. He's on the younger side, so he could be a shooter that you have. And then you get the draft pick. So, I thought, and then you do think what Sacramento's looking at. They have that gives them De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and Siakam. I think it's a very good big three, and they would still have a couple of guys I feel like I could help them.
Keegan Murray, who's also
and they get to keep Keegan Murray, and I'm honestly shocked that he wasn't in the trade. If they get to keep him, that would be a huge plus for Sacramento. So I would have done the trade. I mean, there's still a lot of time to the trade deadline. Like you said, they're probably going to get him anyway. I just don't see another clear suitor for him right now. There's really no one that stood out.
Yeah, that's a little tough, but the one thing I look at is that if you're trading away Siakam now, that's telling me that the Raptors are blowing up this team.
Yeah, I mean, with the OG trade, you kind of saw it coming. You thought maybe they would keep Siakam, but then pretty much within almost hours, it felt like they said, yeah, they're going to shop Pascal Siakam, and now he's expected to be traded. So they're definitely going in a different direction.
Yeah, so it's still a pretty nice start though if you're Toronto, because you have Scotty, IQ, RJ, all on that team.
Right.
And then I guess you have Chris Boucher. Sure, yeah.
He's fine,
He's fine, but I just don't think he's as good as people say. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's that athletic.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does what he has to do as a center.
Right.
If you ask me, I think he's just a less publicized Taco Fall.
I did not expect to hear that comparison. That's an interesting comparison. I think he's like a fine stretch five, but nothing more than that. But yeah, they got a couple young pieces. Like Scotty Barnes has the potential to be really good. Emmanuel Quickly is going to be their point guard of the future. RJ Barrett gets to come home. Obviously, he's from there. He's looked pretty good since coming over there. So, Siakam's going to be the next one to go. And like we just said, I just don't see another team outside of Sacramento. I mean, you never know. You look at the Damian Lillard thing, it looked like it was just Miami, and all of a sudden the Bucks swooped in. That being said, this is a much lower scale because Damian Lillard is one of the league's best players, and Siakam is also a great player, but not quite the level that Damian Lillard is, although Siakam does have a ring. So who knows?
I mean, I heard the Pacers are going to get.
I've heard that as well. I've heard them. They've been around in talks.
I don't know what they're going to give up. I mean,
Mhm.
nobody wants Buddy Hield. I don't
Right.
even want Buddy Hield, and I'm a fan. I don't want anybody.
Right.
I just don't like Buddy Hield was good when he was on the Kings,
Uh-huh.
and then he just kind of fell off a bit once he went to the Pacers.
He hasn't done a whole lot now.
Yes, some people really thrive from a change of scenery. But Buddy Hield is not one of them. Tyrese Halliburton is one of them.
Absolutely.
Domantas Sabonis also is one of them.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
Sabonis was a good player, and he was an all-star guy when he was in Indiana. But then he goes to the Kings, and now he's one of the best centers, probably a top 7 center in the NBA.
Yeah, that's very accurate. Yeah, he's been great.
Yeah, but they just had a historical night yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Fucking saved my fantasy team. 87 fantasy points.
Wow.
So thank you, Big Saboner, for doing that for me.
37-10-13, huge game, and a win over the Pistons, who have 3 wins this year, by the way.
What do you mean? Great. That's a great record.
3-34. I didn't think it's possible to be that bad.
They'll turn it around.
The Pistons scored 47 points in the first quarter, up 18. They still lost.
I don't know what they end up having like a 40 and 42 season.
That would be a miracle.
Trust me. Trust my process here.
Okay, so most of you are watching now, but Justin is really good at predictions. He makes the most obscure predictions, and they're right. Like, he predicted Oral Roberts was going to beat Ohio State a few years ago. He said FIU was going to go to the Final Four. Yeah, he had him in the national championship, but he still got it right going to the Final Four. He just the most obscure stuff. He just randomly predicts it. So, do I think there's any shot that the Pistons, who have lost 34 of 37, only lose 8 more games the rest of the year? No, but it's also Justin, so I don't know.
I also said CM Punk was coming back.
That's right. You were saying that for months. I was like, there's no way. And then all of a sudden, as Survivor Series is about to go off the air, I hear Cult of Personality. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Okay. So yeah, maybe the Pistons will turn around. Maybe not. They will probably go down as the worst team ever.
Probably.
In history. For literally no reason why.
Yeah, it's like they have young pieces. Kate Cunningham's been having a great year. Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren. They just drafted Alstar Thompson. I feel like their team isn't good. Like, they're not good enough to make a play-in spot even, but they're not bad enough to where they should be historically bad, I feel like.
Yeah, they shouldn't be a team that should be that should have less than 10 wins.
No.
Getting teams to the All-Star break. Same thing with the Wizards, for that matter.
Yeah, they blew up their team. They traded away Bradley Beal. They weren't that good with him. So after you move him, how much better they're going to get, and obviously you trade him away to Phoenix. You get a bunch of draft picks back. You get a couple young players, and then of course you made the trade you got Chris Paul, and then you move him to Golden State to get Jordan Poole, which hasn't worked out because Jordan Poole's been terrible this year, but Chris Paul is now hurt on the Golden State Warriors, and he had no point of staying in Washington, the guy who's on the back end of his career just trying to get a championship, and the Wizards are going into a rebuild. But yeah, I thought they'd be that.
Championship. I'm just saying that right now.
Not in Golden State, that's for sure.
Chris Paul is going to end his career ringless, and it's just a fact. I think he's overrated.
I do as well. I think he's a bit overrated.
I think everybody calling him the point god is an insult to Allen Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
who to me is one of the best point guards ever.
Oh, absolutely.
I just don't know. Like, okay, Chris Paul is a good leader, great, but like that doesn't really mean much if you can't win a championship.
Yeah, he's had so many opportunities, he just hasn't been able to get it done.
Yeah, like Kyle Lowry is a good leader, and he won a championship, and people will say, "Oh, well, he had Kawhi on his team." If people also need to realize that Kyle Lowry was actually one of the reasons why they won a championship.
Of course, he was the second best player, and he was there forever.
Second best player. Same thing with Siakam. Same thing with Fred VanVleet. Same thing with Norman Powell. Same thing with Marc Gasol.
That's right. They made Marc Gasol on my team. That's right.
Yeah, all of those people stepped up and played really, really well to help out Kawhi in that series. And I think Kyle Lowry's veteran leadership was kind of the X factor there. I mean, you can always talk about as well. Oh, KD got hurt in the middle of the series. Clay got hurt in Game 6, but still, if you're the Warriors, you win that game. That's all I'm saying.
Right, yeah. They still had Stephen Curry. They still had multiple All-NBA players on that team.
Yeah, you still had Draymond. You still had Andre Iguodala. You still had Kevon Looney. You still had Sean Livingston.
It's not like they had no depth, and obviously you had Stephen Curry.
Yeah, you had Steph. He's pretty good. He's been shown to be, a decent player.
Right, yeah. Like, it's like, let's not pretend like they had nobody else left on the team after they got hurt.
No. Let me give another example. Udonis Haslem.
You do.
Of a guy who's a leader.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's the reason why they won 3 championships. But I am saying that he was pretty damn important as to why they've always been, a playoff team, and to why, like, he's been the person to keep the players in check.
Oh, yeah.
He's been the glue guy for them for years, and now he's retired. But still, Chris Paul just is not that guy.
No, he's not. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that the Washington Wizards are as bad as they are. I didn't think they did do anything this year.
Tyus Jones kind of sucks.
I liked him in Memphis as a number 2 point guard behind Ja. He played well when Ja got suspended. Oh, that's a tough break for him having the shoulder surgery. I talked about this yesterday. Memphis season might just be over.
Yeah, that came out probably 10 minutes after the national championship for college football.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, look, I don't watch Grizzlies games, Well, I haven't watched the game, so I didn't know if he got nicked up in the game and he came out and then they had the MRI and then it happened. But I was like, I came out of nowhere.
It did come out of nowhere because he was out for a while, and then you hear that. And that's like the killing blow for this season for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, without Ja, they've done nothing.
He's out for 28 games, however long it was.
Yeah.
And then he comes back his first game, has a buzzer beater, 33 points, 28, 30 points a game for the next 10 games. And he's helping this team turn it around, and they're starting to become close to a playing team because of it.
Right.
And now he gets hurt.
Yeah, I was talking about it yesterday. They pretty soon might have to, once they really pick it up, might have to start thinking about start trading away some of these veteran players who are on expiring contracts, because right now they're a solid, I think, 4 or 5 games out of the play-in. Without Ja, the first 25 games they were absolutely terrible. It's hard to see why that would change, and I don't really know what they did to help. So their season, a team that we thought was going to be probably top 3 in the conference.
Not having Steven Adams also.
That's a big loss. That's something that's not talked about. He's their leader, their veteran leader. He does all the dirty work down low, getting rebounds and playing defense down low. That's also hurt as well.
It really does. I guess the one thing I need to ask is, I am going to be I'm the certified hater of the most obscure players ever. I am currently referring to the Grizzlies. I am the certified hater of Xavier.
Really?
I don't know what they mean. Is Zaire Williams?
He was.
Are you serious?
Zaire was I think it was like a big high school recruit. He hasn't quite lived up to the hype of the NBA.
Yeah, I know. Like, the game on the line. You to win. You're going to give the ball to Zaire Williams or Morgan Smart. Get out of here.
Yeah, there's just no one there.
Equally dog shit.
There's no one there who's a true one. Like Desmond Baines had a really good year. He's a really good shooter, but he's not like he's not a star by any means. I like Jaren Jackson. You know what he does on the defensive end, but not just enough shooter. And then outside of that, there's no. They have some nice pieces like supporting cast pieces, but without Ja, there really isn't a whole lot there to be scared of, and to any reason they're going to make a run.
I'm telling you that they could have been MVP a few years ago. This team was phenomenal with him.
Oh yeah,
and we can now see that it's only because of him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think they make the plan. I mean, their team. You looking at their team, all right, because the West isn't that great. Maybe they could squeeze in an 8th from a 9th spot or something in the plan. Maybe sneak out of the plan, but just how bad they played the first 25 games, and then they didn't even, set the world on fire in the 9 games Ja played. They won their first 3 or 4. Outside of that, they really didn't play that great. Now he's out for the year. They're currently, whatever it is, 4 or 5 games out of the plan. It's hard to think they're going to play any better.
Yeah, it is tough to say.
All right, so Justin, let me ask this: are you happy with what you've seen from your Miami Heat so far this year?
You know that.
I'm pretty sure I do.
No. I'm pretty happy though with the extension of Spo.
Yes, 8 years, 120 million. That's locked him up.
Mm-hmm. But of course, Pat Riley makes that move because Eric Spoelstra is very much over the age of 36. Of course, Pat Riley.
He loves his veterans.
He loves his
veterans.
He loves his veterans. He should run the fucking military. I hate this team. I do. Don't get me started. I'm gonna get a migraine today. It's just not good enough. It's just never ever good enough. I don't understand why they go into the off season and look at Josh Richardson and say, oh, yeah, that's the guy we need.
That's right. They brought back Josh Richardson in the off season.
Yeah, I know they brought back Josh Richardson. I can only wonder why. I really could. I don't understand why. Like, okay, so Nikola Jovic bitches and moans on Serbian TV about not getting as much play time, and then he does, and he becomes a starter solely because Jimmy is hurt. And you drop, and you're telling me averaging 6'5" and 6'5" is like is good. Like, I don't know why. Like, there are even like Heat Twitter accounts that I'm looking at that are praising Jovic's game, and I'm looking, and it's like, that's not that good for a guy who's crying about wanting more minutes.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't like them. I can't stand them. And I feel like I have every right to say that because you can't be You can't be mediocre to awful every single game and then cry about having more playtime. It's the exact same that Elijah Moore did to get off the Jets. The team is 4-2 and they're playing fantastic. And all you're crying about is how you're not getting enough touches.
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense. You just gotta realize there's so many guys in front of him on the depth chart. He's a power forward center. They have Bam Adebayo. You're just not gonna get he's not on a team where he's gonna get a ton of minutes. And like you said, he hasn't, even when he's got extended playing time for whatever reason, mainly because of injuries, he hasn't exactly lit the world on fire either.
Yeah, I will say though, I do love Hawkes.
Hawkes has been phenomenal.
He has been really good. He's exactly what they need because Jimmy Butler's getting older. We don't know how much left he has in the tank.
Right.
And Jaime is really fulfilling that Jimmy Butler role. And I think one of the biggest reasons why they're winning games, and I think that's why he's been back-to-back Rookie of the Month. That's why he's number 3 on the ladder for Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's going to win it anyway. It's unfortunate just because Hawkes is not as explosive as Wembanyama and Chet.
Right.
It's like you'll always see one of those guys on a highlight sheet somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkes, you won't get that, but Hawkes will also drop 18 points per game and have a great defensive night. He's a little bit more quiet, but I'm glad he's at least in the talks for Rookie of the Year.
He's definitely the fun. The finalists are clearly Wembanyama, Chet,
and Hawkes. I think he will make all rookie this year.
I think so.
Absolutely. I don't see how he can't.
The way he's going.
I heard he's going to do the dunk contest this year, which is going to be really exciting.
I did hear that, yeah. I heard that as well.
That's actually going to be really exciting. And by the way, just one real quick thing. For Lakers fans who were mad, who were saying that Hawkes is not that good, how is Jalen Hood-Schifino working out for you?
I think Hawkes would be like the third best player on the Lakers. They can't shoot. They can't score.
Yeah, he might be their best right now.
He just can't score. They couldn't score last year.
No, they couldn't score last year. They can't score this year. And Kawhi is just getting a fucking bag for no reason.
I heard that, yeah. Right before I literally went live, he got an extension.
3 years, $152 million for a guy who's going to be playing 42 games this season.
Is that what it was? 3 for 152?
That just came out like 2 seconds ago, yeah.
Wow, okay. So Kawhi Leonard gets an extension from the Clippers, 3 years, $152 million. Like I said, right before I went on the air, that came out, but we didn't have the terms yet, so I was going to hold off, but now the terms came out. So yeah, I mean, look, the Clippers are, they're rolling with this setup here with him, Paul George, and Harden and all of them. They're playing phenomenal basketball right now, but look, at the end of the day, that team is got a lot of injury concerns. They're old. Harden has never been good in the playoffs. Russell Westbrook, although doesn't have as big of a role, he has never been good in the playoffs. Even Paul George's been a little bit inconsistent. We got another mic request from, I think this is my friend Randy, so we'll invite him on here. But yeah, just that team is old. They got so many concerns. I'm still not sold that they're not going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. And Randy, how are we?
We're doing great. Happy New Year, boys.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it.
Confirm or deny.
Dude, love the 23andMe test. So, Randy, what's on your mind, man?
Hey, I don't know where Justin is in terms of time zone, but stayed up till 1 a.m. to catch that absolute dog's breakfast that was the fourth quarter of the Lakers-Raptors game.
Yeah.
And it's great to see. It's great to see the NBA community agree that the reffing in the fourth quarter was as terrible as it was. I mean,
I saw the
look,
Raptors coach was not happy after the game.
no, and rightfully so. And I mean, I think it does come into question whether the Raptors should have done something like flopping or be more vocal when it comes to egregious calls and so on, because it seems that the Raptors did try to stay focused and concentrate at the task at hand, but it didn't work out for them, and they lost by a single point. And I mean, there are a number of instances where at least the Raptors could have gone to the free throw line, and it would have been a completely different result. I don't know why the NBA insists on having a different set of rules for its star players.
Yeah,
The
that's
other
that's a
thing
major
is,
problem.
see what that's the other thing is, and this is not diminishing it at all. That's with every sport as well. I mean,
Star players get a lot of treatment for
yeah,
sure.
especially like NFL is no better with that too. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone saw that tweet about how NFL refs change every year.
Well, yeah, they're not full-time refs, which is just absurd considering how much money the NFL makes every year.
Yeah, it really is crazy. But yeah, it's like I think it's really, I don't know. I mean,
there is nobody that can convince me that any team would cause a dip in revenue. Now, yeah, sure, you have elite franchises like the Yankees, the Lakers, if you want to throw in teams like the Patriots, but the Patriots are an example that they were not an elite franchise until Tom Brady came into the fold. The Golden State Warriors were not an elite franchise until Steph Curry came into the fold.
exactly, and that's why Steve Kerr had no right a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, to bitch and moan about players, about the other team getting sent to the line. Like back in your heyday, Curry, Clay, and KD were getting sent to the line for every minor block you did in the post.
Also,
That's just-
Draymond Green's out here just clotheslining dudes. Like, you can't be complaining about the rest when you got a guy on your team just out there fighting guys like it's the UFC.
It's Draymond rules, guys. Don't worry.
Draymond rules.
And anyone else can do that, by the way. It's Draymond rules.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, so I mean, it just, I think this really does hurt any league when you have this incredible bias, because you're not going to have the consistent hardcore fan, because not everybody lives in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago. And in terms of super teams, yeah, sure. Like when Miami had their big three, there was a boost in viewership for their respective games. But there's a lot of games that are being played in that season when the Miami Heat are not on the floor. So you have to spread it out. And I mean, take a look at Oklahoma City now. I mean, the league is just, and true NBA fans are just completely enamored with what's going on in Oklahoma City, one of the smaller franchises in and the smaller cities in the NBA. Look at San Antonio. San Antonio is a really small city in terms of all NBA cities, and there was a huge following of San Antonio fans and admirers from coast to coast. So, I mean, this complete tilt of elite franchises, elite players getting calls. It's a temporary. It helps in a temporary sense, but in the long run, I think it really does hamper a league's growth.
I mean, yeah, like there's just because you have a big friend and you're in a big market doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good. I mean, the Knicks are playing New York. They have the biggest market in the world. Until the last 2 years, they were basically an absolute dumpster fire for upwards of 20 years. The
They're
Lakers,
still working on it.
and yeah, and they're still working.
Better, but they're not where they need to be yet.
Yeah, they're still getting there. And I mean, the Lakers haven't done a whole lot really since Kobe Bryant retired, to be honest. They've had some really bad teams. You built that super team a couple of years ago that missed the play-in with LeBron and all of them.
And they did win the championship when COVID happened, and
Yeah.
like the Dodgers. I mean, they won the World Series during COVID in that abbreviated season. And I mean, I'm not stupid to realize that maybe you're going to get a jump in revenue, like TV viewership, but are you going to get I mean, there's a lot more to any league and how they make money. Take a look at the in-game product. When the Dodgers and the Lakers are not playing the hometown team, are fans going to go?
Right.
I would say no. So, look, I mean, you're Jake. You're in a big market. I don't know where Justin lives. Being in Toronto,
I live in New Jersey.
New Jersey. So whether you're in New York, and that's I mean, it's kind of irrelevant.
I mean,
but
I'm a little weird, sir. I'm a little weird. I'm a little bit different. So I grew up. So my
definitely got that on your mom's side.
Yeah, actually, you're right. My mother was a Heat fan when they came out in the '80s. So I've been a fan of them. And then my dad was a Jet fan, so I grew up as a Jets and Heat fan. So I'm a little bit weird like that. So I know it feels to win, but I also know how it feels to lose and lose and lose and lose more.
Oh yeah.
So I can never be happy. That's basically what I'm expressing.
Justin can't have nice things.
I can't have nice things. I can't have nice things. I'm not a materialistic person, but all I want is another dub, please. All I want is for the Jets to, make a wild card in my lifetime. That's all I want, and not with some guy named Mark Sanchez. That's all.
But yeah, I mean, and look, I don't know if I'm just being optimistic in this whole thing, but especially when it comes to football, I mean, I'm sure the Jets ownership did not lose any money because they've been so futile, right? I mean, they're continuing to, money is continuing to come in. And I mean, take a look at Detroit. Detroit now have this great program. They won the division, and now they're one of the darlings for the NFL playoffs.
Yeah. Speaking of Detroit, so Randy, I'm not sure if you saw, but the Pistons at one point is scheduling open tryouts. You want to go, you and me?
I don't know. Like, I'm not really so much of the red, white, and blue, but yeah.
Me at power forward, you as a forward general. We're gonna kick some ass. Don't worry.
I am. No, I don't know how tall you are. I am 6'3", so I think I'm more of a quote unquote down low guy.
Okay. Well, I'm 6
even. You're 6 even. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll switch it around. So you'll set up a screen, show you how to pick and roll. And then we'll absolutely kick some ass. We'll average 30 points a game, both of us, and
still lose because the Pistons are coached by Monty Williams.
Getting that league minimum contract. I mean,
yeah,
exactly.
More
I'll
than
take that league minimum. I will.
Oh
take
yeah.
That.
Almost $1 million a year.
We'll get a shit ton of sneaker deals together.
There you go.
I think it would be a great move. So I think you and I should go to the open tryouts. We'll take a flight to Detroit. Let's do it, Randy. Let's do it. Come on.
So I didn't catch this. They're actually
I think it might actually be due. I know
Oh,
they did it
okay.
at
This is
one
just
point about a
conjecture.
month ago,
Okay.
but I know at one point they were holding them, and I wanted to go. I was asked my mom to pay for me for a ticket to Detroit.
Must have been,
I mean, Justin, you're probably better than half of the players in the Pistons anyway.
Better than James Wiseman at least. Like as far as it goes, I think I have more talent than any product that Killian Hayes drops in a game.
Oh, you're definitely writing Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes should not be playing professional basketball. I'm sorry.
No, you should not. So that means it's my time. It's my time to step up and become. And I'm bringing back the bad boys era of the. Like,
Justin's gonna be out there just like clothesline dudes.
I'm going to be setting the most illegal screens ever. I'm going to be embracing my inner Draymond.
Oh my god.
So, what else is on your docket, Jake?
So these were the scores from last night. The Kings beat the Pistons 131-110. The Pistons scored 47 points from the first quarter and still lost. I don't know how you do that, but it's the Pistons. Timberwolves beat the Magic 113-92. Towns at 28 in that game. Knicks blew up the Blazers 112-84. The problem with the Blazers is they don't play any defense and they can't really score either, so it's kind of a really bad recipe for success. And they'll be at 23 in that game. Grizzlies over the Mavericks 120-103. So that would be, we were just talking about how Memphis might be done, but they pick up a win. 32-9 from Bane. And of course the Lakers over the Raptors 132-131. He had some iffy officiating in that fourth quarter. AD at 41-11-6. But otherwise, we talked about sports. We talked about the Clippers, how they extended Kawhi Leonard. Tyrese Halliburton's hurt, unfortunately, for the Pacers. He's gonna be reevaluated in 2 weeks. I heard that was like the best case scenario, though.
Did you see the injury? That looked like it hurt.
I did. I was worried. I was trying to figure out like I thought maybe it might have been his hamstring because like
He did
I'm sure his groin area was also not feeling too well after that. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it was his hamstring, but I definitely thought it was a groin for sure.
I was worried like I didn't think he like tore anything, but I was like that might be a hyperextended knee. That's a strained hamstring sprain. He sprained a ligament in his knee. That looked really painful. It wasn't like it's a shame. It wasn't like he was like fouled hard. It was just he just slipped and kind of landed awkwardly. His leg is really hyperextended. That was not a great looking injury.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was a couple of days ago somebody slipped on a wet spot, like it was closer to the center court, but I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. But and they was it Devin Booker? Anyway, but about one of those freak things, and hey, stuff happens, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a lot of times you think, all right, maybe the guy goes up for a layup and he gets fouled hard, he comes down hard, but no, he was just driving to the rim, wasn't really any contact, and he just kind of lost his footing, and I think he tried to put his foot down to brace himself, and just kind of his leg kind of just hyperextended, and he hurt his hamstring or his knee. From what I've heard, it was a best case scenario basically, because at first, when he was carried off the court, a lot of people thought he was going to be out a while, but 2 weeks from now he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, so that's not terrible.
Kind of wild about John Morant as well.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, say whatever you want about his off-court stuff.
If I was a Grizzlies fan, I would resort to drinking.
That you live in Memphis doesn't really help much either.
Exactly, not much there.
Yeah, I mean, the league just seems so ready to anoint this guy as the next one, and now he's got this, and who knows? Maybe it is a blessing. I mean, you get a taste of what you can reap and benefit, like when you don't screw around with guns, and I mean, not that he didn't have a good sample size before all this stuff went down, but like the league spotlight is just waiting for him, and hopefully he comes back like next year and takes Memphis to where they could potentially get to.
Okay, hear me out. This Josh situation is giving me PTSD of Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
It's like Derrick Rose, especially after he won MVP, was supposed to be the next guy. Like,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was supposed to be the guy. I think if he stayed healthy, he would have won a championship. I think he would be an all-time great point guard.
Oh, yeah.
But injuries just killed him. Now, luckily for Ja, because people do compare him to Derrick Rose, and that's a very legitimate comparison because the thing that Derrick Rose is always best with is bounce.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, the shoulder isn't going to affect that. But Ja has had one of the best layup packages I've seen in a long time, if not ever.
Mm-hmm.
So because I mean he has this ability to get inside and score any way he can. I mean, there could be 2-3 guys on him and he'll still be able to to lay it in for a nice bucket. So having him not available with that shoulder is going to be bad. I hope he gets better. I really do, because we could be looking at the next one.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just time, and that's unfortunate as well, because his team that he's had around him has been okay, but it hasn't been the best either.
They need a legit number 2 option in Memphis. They really don't have one.
Option, and it can't be Desmond Bane every other Thursday. Like,
yeah, Bane's a really good shooter, but he's not really like a true all-star, like legit number 2 option next to Ja. They need another piece.
Desmond Bane annoys me because every year he has the potential to be that guy, but he's just not.
Yeah, every year I feel like he's gonna break down. He just doesn't.
Yeah, it's like everyone's beef. It's like everyone's beef with Najee Harris. It's like he's really strong. He can get a lot of yardage. The problem is he's not good at football.
Yeah, I mean, he ran for 1,000 yards, done that 3 years in a row, but this guy had a chance to be a stud, and it feels like every year we're just waiting for him to be like maybe the best back. You challenge for the best back in the league time, he just doesn't do it.
Yeah, no, you and I, back in the Roncalli days, you and I were so hyped when Najee Harris was coming in.
Oh my God, yeah, we were all over him.
Yeah, we were all over him. We thought he was going to be something special. I mean, same thing as well with Zach Wilson, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my comparison for Najee Harris, it might have been a little lazy, but I think it was really Derrick Henry, like an athletic Derrick Henry. I think that was my comparison for Najee Harris, and that really has not come to fruition.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. I mean, look, the Steelers, I guess, made a wild card. They're going to lose in the wild card.
They're not going to Buffalo now.
It's just Mike Tomlin's favorite thing to do. It's one of those things to where, he has another winning season. Good for him. But my brother in Christ, we need a quarterback.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett's not the guy. I mean, Mason Rudolph has played pretty well, but he's not a franchise quarterback or anything. I don't think Mr. Trubisky, I don't even know if he should be in the league.
Well, Mason Rudolph is also part of this is the year of random QBs just going off for no reason.
Oh yeah,
3 games. Like first it was Josh Dobbs, then it was Tommy DeVito, then it's Joe Flacco, now it's Mason Rudolph.
Exactly.
Like there's not for like 2 games it was Jake Browning.
Yeah, he was pretty good filling in for what's his name? Burrow.
Yeah, for Joe Burrow. Yeah, he was pretty good for that. And then at one point it was PJ Walker, who was also there.
Oh God.
Who was also, in that wheelhouse of people. It's just kind of how it went this year. This was not the year of the quarterback.
No, it was not.
Whatever. Big fucking deal. But But yeah, it's like Bishop Roof, I guess, played well, but I mean, at one point, he looked like Taylor Heineke was the future of the Commanders because they went to a wild card.
Yeah. But yeah.
I just saw on Discord, Matt Sirianni reported
Yeah, I
that,
just
Pete Carroll is out in Seattle.
that's what I'm hearing. I'm searching the net. I don't see anything. I'm not sure where I heard that. Was it? I'm not sure if one of you want to jump on Twitter because you guys are in, but you guys are in Twitter, but exactly right. Because I'm holding my phone up to the mic. You guys are on the Twitter space. I haven't heard. X exactly. Let me.
Let's put it X space, guys.
Let's double check this because if so, that's a bombshell. I mean, I don't even. I don't hate the move. If that's true, it might. I feel like it's time for a change in Seattle. He's been there a while.
From Chef Schefter, Pete Carroll is expected to be out as Seahawks head coach per sources. He could still remain in the organization, but not as the head coach.
Really?
He doesn't really have much to work with. I don't know. Give me like 1 second. I'm just getting my food. I'll be back in like.
All right, but yeah, that's shocking that he might be out. I mean, he was one of like the big wild card of the coaching carousel. You know, he's been there a long time. Might be time for a change. Well, maybe he just stepped down, take a little break. You know, but I mean, Seattle has only won a couple playoff games, if that, since they went to the Super Bowl in 2014. Of course, they won the year before in 2013. So, like, there was rumors that maybe the Seahawks would, take a couple of days.
I mean, like, Jake, you know me in football. Like, I'm not overly versed in it, but I mean, if that is the case, and Seattle hasn't really, gotten back to where they once were. I mean, 2013 is a long time, and if there is, a change that needs to be made, I mean, why not?
Yeah, and ESPN has just reported he's not expected to come back as a head coach, but might remain in the organization. So it appears Pete Carroll will no longer be the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. I believe he's been there since 2010. So he's been there 13 or 14 years. So that is a big development in the NFL head coaching carousel. Pete Carroll appears to be out in Seattle as the head coach.
Yeah, that one's surprising.
Oh, yeah.
State. I mean, he had a QB room of Geno Smith and Drew.
They're a quarterback away for sure. They're a quarterback away.
They were. Whatever. GG Pete Carroll.
Look, I wonder, like, will he look for another head coach job? Because I feel like he could get a job. There's 6 other openings. There might be more coming up, but I heard like Dallas or Miami, if they lose early in the playoffs, might come open. We'll see what happens in New England.
Titans.
Yep.
So it's Titans, Falcons, Seahawks. I don't know the other teams. I mean, Bill Belichick might be fired.
Yep. Panthers, the Raiders, and the Chargers are the 3 other ones. So right now we have 7.
Right.
Well, guys, I do have to.
Yeah.
I do have to get back to the office here. So, Jake, great to talk to you again. Justin, let your mom know that I'm going to hit the grocery store before I. We'll talk to you guys another time.
Yeah, I actually have to go as well and take a call, but.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Randy. Talk to you soon. Justin, I will see you in a couple of days. And that was Justin and Randy. Justin lives with me. Not right now. When we're at college, he lives with me. He's been on the show a zillion times. We actually have other shows we do together, and Randy has his own show that I've been on before, and he's come on before. So it was good to have them on. But Pete Carroll is out in Seattle. A little more on that a little later. But let's jump into hockey real quick. The scores from last night: the Seattle Kraken beat the Sabres 5-2. They've gotten hot. They were struggling for a while. This kid, Decord, he's one of the best young goalies in the league right now. He's been playing really well. Like I said, Buffalo's really weird. They've beaten some really good teams, but they're just so inconsistent. That's why they're the third worst team in the Eastern Conference right now. Maple Leafs blow up the Sharks 7-1. Sharks are the worst team in hockey for a reason. Lightning beat the Kings 3-2 in overtime. Canucks beat the Islanders 5-2. Vancouver's been rolling this year. I think they're the best. They're top 2 in the West right now. Yeah, Panthers over the Blues 5-1. Ducks over the Predators 5-3. Jets over the Blue Jackets 5-0. Warriors over the Blackhawks 2-1. Chicago's also really bad. And now Connor Bedard's out 6 to 8 weeks. I don't even know if Chicago will win a game in that time, to be honest. They are atrocious. Connor Bedard's literally the only thing they have going for them right now. You have Flames over the Senators 6-3. Ottawa, they are god-awful. They are the worst team in the Eastern Conference. The coaching change really hasn't done a whole lot. And the Coyotes beat the Bruins in an upset 4-3 in overtime. Arizona's kind of hung around. They were like the 7 to 8 in the West for a while. They're on the outside looking at right now, but still right there. Boston stuff lost to the Coyotes. Before we get deep into the NFL head coach stuff, there is some drama going on in the Meadowlands with the New York Giants. So there was a report that their defensive coordinator, Don Martindale, had stepped down as the defensive coordinator for 2 years. Wasn't a big surprise, to be honest. Him and Dable, like all year, apparently there was rumors that they were out. They tried to deny in their press conferences. It was clearly just trying not to give the media any reason to pay negative attention on their organization. You know, look, I've talked about before, Don Martindale is so predictable as a play caller. He just all he does is blitz, blitz, and blitz. That Giant defense is really talented. You know, they were a little inconsistent under him. It was time for a change. Now they're saying, so what happened was Dable and Martindale, they had a meeting, and Dable fired 2 of Martindale's like top assistants on his defensive staff without telling Martindale, and then he told him in the meeting, and then apparently Wink cursed them out, stormed out of the meeting. The Giants haven't been able to get in contact with him. This was a couple of days ago. Technically, apparently, he still hasn't resigned. They haven't been able to get in contact with him. And the last I knew, like he was at the airport going to Florida. I don't know where he was going there. I don't know if it's where he lives or what. So there's some drama there. This, look, it's hard. Look, I guess it wasn't very moral of Wink to curse out Dable and storm out. You could say he's a little childish, but Brian Dable, who I love, I thought he was phenomenal as an offensive coordinator in Buffalo. Last year did a great job with the Giants. I'm not pulling this year's disastrous Giant season where they went 6-11 on Brian Dable. You know, so many injuries on the offensive line. You know, didn't have a quarterback. You know, the drama with Martindale didn't help. But he kind of seems like a guy who's kind of tough to work with. I mean, I can kind of see it. You look at the coaches he's been under. He was with the Patriots at one point as an assistant. Of course, under Bill Belichick. He was an offensive coordinator at Alabama under Nick Saban. So I don't. It doesn't necessarily surprise me. You know, he was under Sean McDermott he was the offensive coordinator in Buffalo under Sean McDermott. And McDermott's a bit of a guy certainly not a pushover. Sean McDermott was, I believe, was within Andy Reid at one point. So he comes from like a coaching tree of guys who, you know, are very serious, not ready to coach, are there to, you know, coach you, not really necessarily be your friend. Not exactly, Mike McDaniel, out there, skipping around the field and being super loose and super player friendly. They're very serious, not super big personalities. Not Mr. Personality, but Dable didn't get along with Martindale. You saw this year he was visibly frustrated with a lot of players on the sideline. There were some rumors, at one point during the middle of the season that there were some players that didn't really like Dable. And as you thought about it, you're like, you know what? You never see him talking to players at all. he always looked really frustrated with players. A lot of times you saw him like screaming at players and just like angrily shaking his head at them more than you saw him, actually even talking to them at all throughout the year. Like, I'm starting to get the feel this guy might just be a jerk. Like, I don't even think he's a bad coach. I think he's a very good offensive mind. And I do think he has the potential to be a really good head coach. I mean, he was coach of the year last year for a reason. But he might just be a jerk and, look, New York will expose a fraud very easily. In New York, you have to win and you have to continue to win. 1 year of one playoff win. That's not enough in New York. So, if the Giants next year, if Joe Shane goes out there and he brings in a couple of offensive linemen, if he brings in a receiver, let's say he drafts a quarterback, and the Giants are still fighting until 6-11, they're going to have people clamoring for Brian Daboll's job, especially if there continues to be, potential tension between him and some of the players and some of the coaches. Because, they're going to look at it like, all right, you had one really good rookie year. You had a really good rookie year as a coach, and then you had 2 dud years. Doesn't seem like you're very well liked. I mean, to be honest, if Brian Daboll were to get fired, that job is really unattractive. He would have been like the 4th or 5th coach in a row that only lasted 2 years with the Giants. They don't have a quarterback. And the offense is depleted. Don't have a ton of cap space. You had the 6th pick in the draft, so you'll definitely get easily get a top lineman or a top receiver. You might be able to get a franchise quarterback. You might not be able to. Depends what happens at the first 3 picks of the draft. It really isn't that great of a job. You're in a division where you're at best the 3rd best team in that division. Philly, I know they're falling apart. They're still clearly better than you, even though you beat them in the last game of the year. Dallas is clearly better than you. You might be better than Washington, but now that we have new ownership in Washington, if they bring in the right coach and if Sam Howell works out or they draft somebody at the 2nd pick and he ends up working out, Washington in a year or 2 will definitely be better than you for sure. So, I'm starting to get a feeling Debo might just be a jerk because this Martindale thing is very concerning. Also, maybe Martindale overreacted a little bit, but don't just go behind his back, fire 2 of his top assistants. Look, Daboll's the head coach, obviously. It's Daboll's decision when it comes to his coaching staff. But as an offensive guy, he obviously is going to let Martin bring in his own staff and kind of do what he wants with the defense to an extent. At least pull him, have a meeting for him, be like, I think it's time to move on from these 2 guys. I know they might be really good professionals. You might think very highly of them, but at the end of the day, we're trying to win a Super Bowl here. If they're not cutting it, they're not cutting it. And changes need to be made. But all year, the whole year, there was reported tension between these 2 guys. The writing was on the wall that these 2 were going to part ways. That Martindale was not going to be there. Other than that, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. They're going to interview Brian Callahan as well as Leslie Frazier for their head coach openings. Brian Callahan is the offensive coordinator of the Bengals. And Leslie Frazier, he was the defensive coordinator of the Bills late in the offseason last year. He stepped down. I don't really see much. He was the head coach of Minnesota at one point, was not very good. He was a really good defensive coordinator in Buffalo. He said when he stepped down after last year that he was just kind of just taking a break and was gonna want to coach this year. He might be a candidate for the defensive coordinator of the Giants because when he was the defensive coordinator with the Bills, Daboll was the offensive coordinator. So I wonder if he'll be a candidate. I'm hearing the top 2 candidates for the Giants defensive coordinator opening are Frazier, and then if Antonio Pierce does not get the interim head coach job in with the Raiders, they go with Jim Harbaugh. They're gonna want him because he was a player there, was a really good player there, was a linebacker on the Giants, Super Bowl winning team to beat the Patriots. He's obviously a defensive guy. That would be their top choice. The Bears have fired their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, as well as the quarterback's coach, Andrew Janico. Thank God Luke Getsy's out. He was absolutely terrible. Over the last 2 years, he was probably the worst OC in the league besides Matt Canada, and Matt Canada was fired mid-season this year, so once Matt Canada got fired, Luke Getsy was probably the worst offensive coordinator in the league. And now the quarterback's coach is Andrew Janico. I don't know much about the dude, but Fields has been up and down his tenure as quarterback's coach, so he probably needs to go as well. And now it's official. Eberflus is coming back. So basically, Ryan Poles and Eberflus have 1 year to turn his team around, pick the right quarterback. And to me, if they don't get to the playoffs next year, they're both getting fired. Which to me, Eberflus might be a sitting duck. I feel like next year because they're in a position where if they don't make the playoffs, he's getting fired. I think Poles will probably go as well. So they have a big decision to make with Justin Fields. I mean, they don't see North for me. It's not out of the question. Look, they're not as good as the Lions, but if they make some moves in the offseason, they could hypothetically be better than Green Bay next year. And I don't know what's going on in Minnesota. They don't have a quarterback right now. Their defense is absolutely atrocious. They can definitely be better than Minnesota. So there's a path to where they're the second best team in that division. So there is a path to the playoffs next year, but they got to make sure that they pick the right quarterback. Now you wonder if he's a sitting duck, would he be inclined to keep Fields? Because would he want to? If him and Poles know that their jobs are on the line, would they want to trade away Fields and draft a quarterback who's probably going to have his share of struggles in his first year, like all rookie quarterbacks do for the most part? Like I feel like they might be all right. Let's keep Fields. If he struggles again, all right, well we're fired anyway. But if not, that might at least save our jobs, or at least buy us another year, maybe. So we shall see what happens. All right, so by the way, the Cubs signed Shoto Amanga yesterday. That's a big pickup for the Chicago Cubs. The contract details have not been released yet, but apparently Amanga took less to come to the Cubs. A lot of teams have been interested in him for a while. Of course, he's coming over from Japan. He projected as a mid-rotation starter. I know he was looking for like $20 million a year on a longer-term deal. My contract projection for him was about 5 years, $100 million was what I thought he would get. And this week, talks ramped up, and he needed to sign very soon. I think he needed to sign by like the end of tomorrow or something because of the posting rules in Japan. So that's why it got his name was thrown around as much as it was these past few days, this past week. A few days ago, we looked like the San Francisco Giants were the favorite. Then apparently they bowed out and was down, and the Cubs and the Red Sox were the top teams involved, and now the Cubs, were the ones that come out and sign him. Apparently, he took a lot less money. Took almost twice as much as less money to sign with the Cubs. So something about the Cubs he really liked. That's a big pickup. You have him and Justin Steele at the top of that rotation. And Kyle Hendricks as your 3. It's a nice little rotation. So big pickup for the Cubs. So I'm going to rank the head coach openings now. There's now 7 of them because apparently Pete Carroll's out in Seattle, which, again, I kind of see why. Like they've only won maybe 2 or 3 playoff games since Carroll, not since he took over, but since they went to their second straight Super Bowl in 2014. Of course, they won 2013 and blowing out Peyton Manning and the Broncos. 2014, of course, the Marshawn Lynch game. You can give it to Marshawn Lynch and you lose to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Since then, they've been good enough to make the playoffs, but not really good enough to do anything else. Last year, they went 9-8. They snuck in the playoffs. Gino had a nice low year. And, they got blown out in the first round by San Francisco. Yeah, and then this year was just inconsistent all year. Geno Smith struggled. He was hurt briefly at one point. And then you went 9-9 again, but this time wasn't enough to get into the playoffs. They're a quarterback away. If they get a real good quarterback, they could be a dangerous team. They have a lot of weapons. They have some pieces on defense, especially in that secondary. But Pete Carroll appears to be out in Seattle. I heard he may stay in the organization. I know I just talked about that with Justin and Randy. But 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 Pete Carroll is out in Seattle. All right, so let's rank the head coach openings in the NFL. To be honest, I think Seattle's might be the most desirable. And between them and the Chargers, the quarterback, I know Gino's not good enough, but you just have so much talent on the roster outside of it on both sides of the ball, especially on offense. You have a lot of really good pieces in that secondary. So I just think the roster right now of all the openings, they probably have the best roster right now of any of the openings. You could argue they're a quarterback away. So they need a quarterback. Chargers are probably the second most desirable just because you have a roster that's pretty good. You have a lot of people saying they're still a coach away. They're like, oh, they're a coach away, they're a coach away. I don't think they're just a coach away. The roster, I don't think, is as good as people say. That defense is absolutely terrible. But if Jim Harbaugh gets that job, I think they're a playoff team next year. Do they win a playoff game? No. But like 2 years ago when they went 9-8, 10-7, I think they can do that. Because you have a quarterback there, Justin Herbert, who's one of the best in the league, in his prime. He's under contract for at least another 5 years. A lot of weapons. As bad as that defense is, you have a couple of pieces that are very good. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Kenneth Murray, Derwin James, although Mack's getting older. I think Bosa wasn't great this year, to be honest, and I think he's a bit overrated, but he still is really good. Like Jim Harbaugh can win with that roster. So the Chargers are another opening. I think the Raiders one probably put as the third most desirable. Look, they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. But I know that the Raiders are a very bad organization. Mark Davis is not his father. He is not a great owner. You know, that haircut is atrocious. I don't know what's worse, the Raiders over the last 25 years or his haircut. Good God, it's bad. But they have a lot of weapons on offense. They have some young pieces on defense. Again, even if, Jim Harbaugh gets the job or they promote Pierce, they're not automatically just a great team. They have some work to do on both sides of the ball. But there's a foundation there. You have something there. If you get yourself a quarterback and add a couple pieces, this could be a good team. And look, they're still miles away from the Chiefs in that division. The Chargers, we don't know what's going on with them right now. They have some talent, but they kind of always do. They always seem to screw it up. They don't have a base. They need a coach. Denver is a mess right now. There's a coach that the players don't like. They don't have a quarterback. That defense is terrible. They're way over the cap. They don't have a ton of picks to really fix this. Other players are now not going to sign with them because of how they did the Russell Wilson thing. So they're in a tough spot. Like they got themselves out like that horrible team tier. Like they were 5-12 last year, or at least they won 8 games this year. But I still don't see how they win more than 7 of the right games any year. Maybe if you let next year go out and sign Kirk Cousins, looking at a team with those weapons, with that line, with that, the pieces, a couple of pieces that you happen to have on the defense, although it's not that good. I forget if they sign Kirk Cousins and they draft and they have the 9th, I think they have like the 11th or 12th pick in the draft. If they can get a really good player on defense in the draft and they have good quarterback next year, they could be pretty good. Also, that locker room is a mess. And Sean Payton is obviously the reason for it, and he's under contract for a lot of money for the next 4 years. They gave him $5 or $85 million next year, so he's not going anywhere, probably anytime soon. Although if things go poorly, if the owner was willing to eat $85 million in dead cap to cut Russell Wilson, I'm sure he'd eat some money to fire Sean Payton maybe after next year. Remember, their owner owns Walmart. He can afford it. But yeah, the Raiders job, that's what I think of it. Then there's the Falcons job. They're basically a quarterback away. They have a lot of young pieces on that offense. The offensive line is very good. They have some pieces on defense. And also that division's really bad. You can make the argument you can put Falcons ahead of the Raiders. The more I think about it, I might do that. Because the Falcons get a decent quarterback. Like the Saints are not very good. I don't know why they're running the back with Dennis Allen next year. The Bucks really aren't that great, although they might beat Philly in the first round. They might win a playoff game this year. Baker's stats are inflated. They're about to lose Mike Evans. They're so far over the cap. Devin White's not going to resign. They're not they're not going to do any better than 9-8. Carolina is in debt for years. They are screwed. So, if the Falcons get a good quarterback next year and hire a decent coach, there's no reason they should not win that division next year. Then you have the Commanders. Look, they've been a mess for years, but Dan Snyder's out of the building. You get Josh Harris and Magic Johnson in there. Obviously, the first year didn't go as planned, but the time he bought the team didn't really have time to bring in his own guys. But now he's cleaned house. He got Runner Bear out of there. He got, he's bringing in a whole new staff, a whole new front office. He brought in Bob Myers, a guy who's going to be a Hall of Fame executive in the end for basketball, a longtime GM in Rick Spielman in Minnesota. You bring him in to help, rebuild your coaching staff, rebuild your football operations department. You have a young quarterback with some talent, Sam Howell. If you don't believe in him, you have a second pick in the draft. You can draft a Drake May or whoever you want that second pick. You have some young pieces on offense. Defense, not a whole lot, but you should have a lot of cap space to go out and sign guys. You have the second pick in the draft. There's reasons to believe that the Commanders could, be turning over a new leaf. And if I'm a head coach, if I have a chance to save the Commanders, they're completely changing. You can see they're trying to finally do it right, with this new ownership group. And that's something that might be attractive. But it's the same, but then you go back to like this organization also, regardless of who the owner was, has had no success in God knows how many years. And then the Tennessee Titans, this job really isn't attractive. You have a young quarterback who I'm not sold on in Levis. Some other people are, but he flashed a little bit this year. He's got some potential possibly, but there's just nothing there offensively. To be honest, the most attractive thing that the Titans have had these last few years has been Mike Vrabel. That's been the big glamorous thing in Tennessee. You trade away your probably maybe even your best player, maybe it's like Derrick Henry in his prime, with AJ Brown for 2 draft picks. Now Derrick Henry's leaving. But I'm not sure if you saw that press conference and thanking every member of the organization, from the cleaning people and the kitchen staff. That was very cool. Derrick Henry, he is definitely someone I'd want on my team. But back to the head coach opening, the offensive line is absolutely terrible. You have one true opening in DeAndre Hopkins, who's getting older. Treylon Burks, I didn't see it coming out. That's who they replaced AJ Brown with. No wonder their offense sucks. Henry's leaving. I don't know, Tyjae Spears flashed a little bit, so maybe he can be a pretty good back for you, but the only true weapon you have right now is DeAndre Hopkins. You have a young quarterback. We don't know what he is yet. No offensive line whatsoever outside of Pierre Skoronski. He took him the first round last year, took him pretty high up. I like him a lot. He's definitely a guard. I know he can't play tackle in college. He wasn't sure if he was tackle or guard. He ended up moving to guard. But I do like Ron Carfin, their GM. I get, he wanted to pick his own coach. Seems like he's laying a foundation. We'll see if he hit on Will Levis or not, but he seemed to knock the first round pick out of the park with Pierre Skoronski. He's a very smart football mind. Now it's time for him to and he better get this right, by the way, because otherwise it's going to be ugly for a while in Tennessee. And also, can you blame Mike Vrabel? Look at this roster. How does anybody, 6 games to this roster actually is almost impressive. Like, they're awful. That team is awful. And the Carolina Panthers, good lord, that is a horrible, horrible job. So you have an owner who has a lot of money in David Terrell, but can't draft for his life. Is always getting in trouble in the media. He's throwing drinks at opposing fans. Nobody likes him. He's done nothing but screw up since he built this team. You have a young quarterback who just had a tumultuous rookie year, who now you have to, and it's clear. I mean, Frank Reich obviously wanted CJ Stroud, and now you see why. So, and he's got nothing to work with. His offensive line is absolutely terrible. There's really no weapons on this team. Adam Thielen's still pretty good. He had a pretty good year, but he's older. I mean, you saw him in the press conference after the last game. He was like, I was looking to win a Super Bowl, so this is not what I had in mind. So at this point, I'm not even sure if he'll be on the team next year. DJ Shark sucks. Hayden Hurst sucks. Miles Sanders really sucks. They haven't been drafted well in ages. They have some pieces on defense, but the main one is Brian Burns, who I don't think will be on the team next year. They're going to tag him and trade him, or he's going to leave him for agency. They don't have a first-round pick. They don't have draft picks, and they just went 2 and 15. What if at the first pick is here? They give up half the universe and DJ Moore for Bryce Young. That's one of the worst trades ever. Obviously they still need a GM. That there's reports of like the workplace culture is toxic. It's just such a horrible job. Look, it says a lot that they're in maybe the worst division in NFL history, and they are so clearly the worst team in it. Like, to me, it's not close. Like, they're probably a couple of years from even coming out of the basement of that division, and that division is really bad. Like, that's really concerning. Carolina Panthers. That's how I rank the head coach openings. But now, let's do game picks. Game picks Wednesday, NFL wildcard weekend this weekend. I'm very excited. I'm sure all of you are as well. Let's jump right into it. Saturday, 4:30 on NBC, Browns, Texans in Houston. I'm going to take Cleveland, actually. So, look, what Houston did this year was incredible. CJ Stroud is a dog. DeMarco Ryan is a dog. Great head coach hire. You have the 2 best head coaches in the league this year. But when it comes to head coach of the year, and DeMarco Ryan and Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, the Browns, the whole storyline thing I know. I don't need to buy into the storyline, but at the end of the day, Joe Flacco's playing really well. He's actually a really good postseason quarterback. Super Bowl MVP, obviously, whatever year it was, 2012, I think it might have been. He's had a lot of success in the playoffs, and it's been a while since he's done it. The last year was like 2017 or something like that. But he's playing really well, and he's got a lot of playoff experience. He's got a lot of playoff success. I think this is just a really good matchup for Joe Flacco. Remember, he played against, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis every day in practice. What makes you think he's going to be scared of Will Anderson? Although he might be defensive rookie of the year. He's a great player. Texans are really young. Cleveland's a little more experienced. They got a phenomenal defense, so I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns. Miami Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. But, okay, this game is on Peacock. You have to pay for the service to watch the game. If there's some old people who don't know what that is, I don't know. Ask your wife or your kid. They'll know what it is. It's a streaming service. Get over it. I'm taking the Chiefs. I know the whole thing. Tyreek Hill, fine playing in Kansas City. The Dolphins are the most fraudulent playoff team I've ever seen. The Chiefs have the worst as well. Their O-line isn't great. Their left tackle Donovan Smith is washed. The right tackle Juwan Taylor doesn't understand. You need to wait for the ball to be snapped before you move. He's taken 37,000 penalties this year. Their receivers are horrible. But they still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. Still have Andy Reid. The defense is very good. Miami is as fraudulent as it gets. I'm taking the Chiefs. I am definitely taking the Kansas City Chiefs. They're favored by 4 right now. No, Cleveland's favored by 2.5. Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS will be Steelers, Bills, and Buffalo. I'm taking the Bills. This game doesn't have a storyline thing. The only storyline is just the Steelers just aren't as good as the Bills. I don't know what else to tell you guys. You know, Bills are favored by 10. I don't know if it'll be that much of a blowout, but Bills are going to win this game. 4:30, Packers, Cowboys. So the Packers, Cowboys have had some classic playoff matchups over the years. We all remember the Des Bryant game from years ago. You know, Packers, I mean, Cowboys are a much better team than the Packers. But Green Bay has owned them. They've won them. They've beaten them 4 straight times in the playoffs. They beat them 9 in their last 10 meetings. That being said, Aaron Rodgers isn't there anymore. Jordan Love. I'm taking the Green Bay Packers. I think it's going to be a huge upset. You know, it's the Cowboys. They're gonna screw us up. I'm telling you. I know everyone thinks, they're really good this year. Maybe Jimmy Johnson finally getting to the Hall of Fame breaks the curse. Packers will have Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love has played well. You know, Aaron Jones is back. He's playing well. I'm not sure if Christian Watson's going to play in this game or not, but I still don't trust Dak and Big. I know that the Packers defense is horrible, and this might come back to bite me. Cowboys could end up blowing them out. But, so I don't know how they're going to go CeeDee Lamb, although I do think Jaire Alexander is going to play in this game. Well, he definitely is. He's back. He's not suspended anymore, obviously. But I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. I just think they just own the Dallas Cowboys. 8 o'clock on NBC. Rams, Lions. Stafford returns to Detroit. Jared Goff playing against the Rams. The team that traded him away. Of course, they were traded for each other. I'm actually taking the Rams. Look, the Lions is a great story, but that secondary is really banged up. It's not very good. The Rams got a lot of weapons. They got a veteran quarterback in Stafford, who obviously was Super Bowl MVP, not Super Bowl MVP, but he won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. He's got enough playoff experience. Sean McVay, I think, might be the best head coach in the league. The Lions are still a little inexperienced. Both their coordinators are doing head coaching interviews. Ben Johnson's, been, basically 1 foot out the door to be a head coach somewhere else since midseason. I'm going to take the Rams in an upset. Stafford wins in Detroit in his first game back. And then Monday night will be Eagles-Bucks on ESPN and ABC, 8:15. I'm taking the Bucks. I know they're only in because they won their division. Baker's stats are definitely inflated. When he played any defense that had any sort of talent, he did not play well. He did not play well against Philly early on in the year. But this Eagles team is broken. The coaching is concerningly bad. Brian Johnson is as predictable to play caller as it gets in this league. Matt Patricia is clueless. Not sure why Sirianni made him the new coordinator. He demoted Sean Desai. That Eagles secondary is atrocious. They're going to have no answer for Mike Evans. I don't know if they'll have an answer for Chris Godwin. Rashad White's going to hurt the Eagles. I think Hurts might make some mistakes. The Tampa secondary is horrible. I think it's a high-scoring game. I got the Bucs winning this game. Eagles are just broken. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.